damn right.
So, Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 2. You know, I liked this episode. I'm not going to say I liked it as much as last week's episode. I think with last week, it was just, you know, it was kind of, we were going back to Game of Thrones and everyone was very excited, and I think just that level of excitement just was kind of unparalleled, and so I think that I did find myself enjoying last week's episode a little bit more. And I think my biggest issue with this episode is just how rushed it feels. I just felt like it went from character moment, character moment, character moment, character moment, character moment, and we didn't really get any breathing space. We didn't get sort of much sort of time to really just sort of let it in, you know. And I mean, there are some really cool moments in this episode which I'll get to, but I just feel like overall this was a very rushed episode. Kind of like that type of episode where a lot does actually happen, but because it all feels so rushed, you don't really feel like you've taken it all in, and you don't really feel like enough has happened in a way. Because I mean, you do have, you know, you with Daenerys, right? It kind of starts off with Daenerys talking to Varys about the whole loyalty thing, and then you have what's her name? The Tyrells come in. Olenna, who's like one of my favorite characters, and she has a really cool moment with Daenerys. And I thought that's really what they should have done more with this episode. Just had like two, three characters to sit down and have a nice talk, and, you know, not rush it too much. And also you had sort of the Sand Snakes and Elaria Sand, obviously also sort of pledging her allegiance to Daenerys officially, and all that was quite nice. But again, I don't feel like Daenerys' storyline in this season is going to really go anywhere until she meets Jon, and obviously if you've seen the promo for episode 3, then you know that she will meet Jon, and so I'm very excited about that. Speaking of Jon, you know, he has some nice moments. Obviously he goes to, he's going to with Davos to Daenerys, to Dragonstone, and I liked how, again, you know, they're kind of planting these seeds of doubt, because with Jon, you know, the North obviously is very loyal to him, but you start to see that it's not just all, you know, we love Jon Snow, it's not just blind loyalty, and they start questioning him, and so does Sansa. And I think that I like how they kind of start to show how they sort of create the sense of uncertainty within the characters and within the situation in the North, and I like that. And I also really liked how, so obviously he left command of the North to Sansa. I thought that was a nice moment. My favourite Jon Snow moment in this episode was definitely when he just completely demolishes Littlefinger, just slams him against the wall, and he's not taking any of Littlefinger's shit, you know, because Littlefinger got under Ned's skin, and he, you know, he's a guy who's definitely manipulated the Stark family for a while now, and Jon Snow's just not having any of it, and I really enjoyed that. Also, we have Cersei and Jaime, their little storyline. They don't have a ton to do in this episode, and obviously we see Jaime having a nice conversation with Randall Tarly and his son Dickon. But I do like how Jaime and Randall Tarly had that nice conversation. You kind of see that Randall Tarly is definitely a very righteous man, and I think the biggest sort of thing from this sort of part of the episode was definitely sort of the invention of that sort of crossbow thing. Definitely looks like something that came from the Hobbit movies, you know, because in the Hobbit films they have that big bow thing that kills Smaug. With this, yeah, they kind of like penetrate the skull of Balerion, or whatever the dragon's name is, like the really big one, the biggest one there ever was. And so I definitely do think that this was a smart move, because otherwise it would have just made the dragons sort of very sort of invincible and not giving them a vulnerability. And so it was nice to see that there is a way to beat dragons, you know, even though you don't really like Cersei, but it is still nice to know that, you know, it's the invention of this crossbow thing definitely makes the story and the opposing sides feel more equal, and that was nice. Also, Samwell's storyline in this episode was quite enjoyable. I liked his scene with Jorah quite a bit, and it's nice to see that Jorah, you know, is still around. He's writing letters to Daenerys. One thing I have to talk about this though is because obviously this is the 7th season, 7 episodes only, and it's obviously a very fast-paced show. I do feel like, you know, one of the things that I really liked about last week's episode was that it was fast, but it never felt like it was rushing. With this one, it does kind of feel like it's rushing, because Jorah comes out of nowhere, and also we have Hot Pie, which I'll talk about in a bit. But Jorah comes out of nowhere, and sort of, they just kind of like act like, okay, Jorah's here, you know, they don't really, there's not really much like dramatic sort of entrance. and they really do take advantage of the previously on Game of Thrones section, you know, by saying, okay, reminding the audience that Jorah has grayscale and stuff. And obviously, I think the most disgusting scene in the entire episode was Sam doing that operation on Jorah. It was just grim. And by the way, Jorah looks like shit. He looks like shit. Was eaten by a rat, and then the rat had diarrhea and shat it out. And then another rat came, like a dirtier rat came, ate the diarrhea shit, and then vomited again. That's what Jorah looks like to me. It's just disgusting. But it was nice to see him, and I think, you know, I like the sort of the interaction between him and Sam, and that was nice. And I was speaking earlier of Hot Pie. Hot Pie is like such an underrated character. I think, you know, he's a really sort of big part to Arya's storyline, kind of coming up, you know, and sort of progressing throughout the series. And it was kind of disappointing, to be honest, just to see Arya meeting Hot Pie, even though it should have been, I feel like, a really sort of nice friend, sort of dramatic reunion. It was just Arya's like eating, and she just says hi to him, kind of like they saw each other like last week, and I don't know, it just felt like kind of anticlimactic because I was expecting this big reunion. She didn't even give him a hug. Like I expected them to have this big friendly sort of conversation, and I feel like Hot Pie's only purpose in this episode was just to tell her that Jon Snow was in Winterfell, and that was it. You know, I just felt like, I don't know, it was kind of underwhelming. And then obviously even her reunion with Nymeria, which I think I predicted going into this season. I think that Nymeria is going to make a comeback, and I don't think this is going to be the last time we see Nymeria and her pack of wolves. You know, I was kind of disappointed again that how they dealt with that, just in terms of rushing. I just felt like it was all very rushing. Arya's storyline this week was very rushed, and I feel like they were just kind of like saying, okay, we only have 20 minutes left, we need to get to the big battle at the end, and so they kind of had to rush through some of Arya's stuff, which was disappointing. But it was still nice to see Nymeria, still nice to see Hot Pie, and I do feel like when I was watching this episode, I was kind of like, this was kind of not, it's not really going anywhere, it's kind of getting, you know, a bit uneventful, and then we have the final bit. But I have to give a special shout out to my boy Grey Worm, who gets a ton of action in this episode. If you see the episode, then you know exactly what I mean, Grey Worm. The last battle scene with Euron, you know, who comes on with his sort of rock star outfit, with his sort of rock star entrance, you know, I'm really liking Euron right now. I feel like he's going to be sort of the new Ramsay or the new Joffrey, but kind of cooler in a way. And I like just how he's just like the sand snakes, you know, like one of them with the Oberyn sword, and then Colleen Wing from Iron Fist turns out. They both get completely destroyed, and also the youngest one with Alaria Sand, they get taken away. And then Theon, who I really thought was going to help Yara at the end, he just basically turned into Reek mode. I feel like whenever someone gets Theon really scared, he just kind of switches onto this Reek mode where he just goes like complete pussy mode and just jumps into the sea. But it was, you know, it was a nice ending to the episode, which I thought was a good episode, but it was still kind of uneventful. But anyway, guys, that is my thoughts on this week's episode. Cannot wait to see Jon and Daenerys meet next episode. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. Thank you.